Good evening. Welcome to all of our guests and dignitaries. And we have the roll, please. Joan.
Roderick. Budzinski.
Here.
Garcia Guillen. Present. Lee. Here. Lozano.
Here.
Mahalik.
Present.
Morales. Here. O'Connell.
Here. And so let's have the pledge and we'll have Trustee Howard.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. You're my go-to guy tonight, Jake. Do we have any public comments? No public comments?
No public comments.
Okay. Move on to business reports 1.1, 1.1.1, faculty salaries and advancement.
I'd like to invite Dr. Whitehead to the podium this evening for a brief update. I know last month there was a little confusion with salaries awarded to faculty members, a male and a female. So I asked Dr. Whitehead just to show up tonight to clarify some of that information.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you. Want to just recognize our chair. Thank you so much, and Dr. Mitchell, and thank you for the opportunity to just give a little bit more clarity on our faculty placement. So in our last board meeting, there was a conversation or a question about the initial placement of 2 faculty members. One of them had multiple associate's degrees and was a female and had a bachelor's degree and had 3 years of experience. And the other had an associate's degree, multiple master certifications, 18 years of experience. So what you have in front of you and should be at your seat is just our initial placement that you'll find in the faculty contract. And as we look through both of those individuals, we look at the highest level of education completed, so the highest degree. And so when you look at the contract for our faculty, you will see the B for bachelor's degree, M for master's, and the D for doctorate. So we look at the highest level that was completed. So you could have multiple associate's degrees or multiple master's degrees, but looking at that particular position and what's called for, that isn't what determines what your final salary is. One thing that we can certainly say is that we don't look at gender. We look at equity based on your experience, whether that's work. And when you look at the salary schedule, you will see that the 2 individuals that were placed that we were speaking of in the last board meeting followed internal equity, looked at experience, looked at certifications, and also looked at the highest degree completed, which placed them in their respective recommendations that were presented to the board at the last meeting. Are there any questions about the initial placement information that was placed before you?
I don't have a question about it, and I know I'm the one that brought it up last time because the positions, one was automotive and the other one was prosthetics. And the female was being given an offer in the prosthetics department, the male in the automotive, yet the female had spent a lot of time putting herself through schooling, getting formal educational training, which is just as important as all of the years of service. I think they're just as important. Real life experience, learning on the job, even though you don't get a formal degree, but that's extremely important. And I was really pleased to see that this person had 18 years of experience. I get that. And this doesn't tell me the B for bachelor's, M for master's, PA for PA. This doesn't really give us the full picture. Thank you for giving this to us. And I understand that faculty contracts are what they are. And I believe that, yes, there probably was no intent for any gender inequality. I don't think we ever intentionally pay women less. It was just something that was, to me, it seemed pretty obvious. And the departments, they're both technical, prosthetics, mechanics. You know, one of them helps build parts for people. One does parts for machines or cars. Both very important. So it was something I had to bring up. And I think as board members, we have that responsibility, and this is for full transparency. This is the place where we can have these conversations. It's not intended to embarrass anybody at all whatsoever, or to say that we're doing something we shouldn't be. But I do like to, and it jumped at me that day. Believe me, I didn't notice that before, but that day I thought, wait a minute. And I saw the salaries, and it just seemed like if we want to retain good quality staff, faculty, administrators, and I know Dr. Mitchell's always advocating, to revisit salaries and bring them up to where they need to be, because inflation's gone up and salaries haven't gone up and kept up with inflation. So having said that, I thought maybe we should revisit that position and reconsider the offer. But again, we hired Dr. Mitchell to run the college. All we can do is make recommendations. I think as board members, we're within our authority to do that. And that's why I brought that up. So thank you for bringing this. But next time, if I could see, I don't see the B and the M for bachelor's, master's. I think there's more than what you've given us here. I'd like to maybe come in on another occasion and meet with you to see the full scope of the faculty placements.
And it is available in the contract. So all of, each of the board of trustees have.
And this one that we were given today?
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's
I'll go
in the
through it.
appendix and that's the
Okay.
task, but it's the faculty contract version. So one of the things that I do want to say to you is that I appreciate you bringing it up so that we can always do a double check. But I do want to make sure that each of the board members understand our process, that we do have controls in place. And when we look at each of the individuals that you're even speaking to from the last meeting, it isn't a situation where we're choosing experience over education. We look at all of it. So when we looked at his master certifications, for example, and it's not really even a his or a her, is we don't even look at the gender.
Right.
When we do the salary, when we do the compensation, we're looking at their credentials, what years of experience they have, what certifications they have specifically for the role. So it's not always comparing apples to apples. And that's what happened in this situation, that we do have a contract that we must follow, but we also look at equity. So when you say, how do we make sure that we're not being discriminatory? We look at the 4/5 rule. When we look at, so specifically from an HR perspective, we're constantly running the compensation and say, are there any inequities, not just based on gender, but any of the protective factors? So certainly I would love to connect with you in collaboration with President Mitchell, but as it related to those two faculty members, they were placed appropriately based on the contract and internal equity. So we have all of those factors that we have to look at. So it's not always black and white, but there is a formula that when you look at that contract, you'll see that we placed them appropriately.
Right. And I know we have retreats to go over Opens Meetings Act, but we as board members, we really don't have a lot of training on how to read these tables, which when we don't really understand, or we haven't had the formal training to walk us through the steps of how we arrive to that, formula, that's why we have questions. So if at some point, maybe we can have a quick one-on-one, or maybe at the next retreat, if you can walk us all through that, I think that would be helpful for not just myself, but for everyone.
Agreed.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dr. Whitehead.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitehead.
All right, we'd like to now have a moment of silence for Steve Egan, brother of Susan Bell, Secretary, Business Education, Friends of Robert Wunderlich, former Chairman of the Board. All right, 1.3, recognition of special guests. Bob, do you count as a special guest? All right, if not, then I guess you're special enough. Excuse me. Selected reports. I'd like to recognize the trustees' approval of the Disabled Employment Awareness Month.
So Chairman O'Connell, I would like to introduce and invite Constance Van, who is attending JJC to complete her prerequisite courses so she can transfer to the university to obtain a degree in occupational therapy. Constance is a student. She's a veteran, adult student, raising her 9-year-old son, Miles. She has a BA and is here taking her prereqs for occupational therapy at Lewis University. Candace, welcome, and if you'd like to come to the podium to read the proclamation. Thank you. You can at the podium, and then we just ask that you put it back on when you're sitting, seated. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Proclamation, Disability Employment Awareness Month. Whereas in 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law. ADA is a civil rights legislation that works to increase the inclusion of people with disabilities in all aspects of community life, including employment, and whereas National Disability Employment Awareness Month is a nationwide campaign celebrating the skills and talents workers with disabilities bring to our workplaces, and whereas the month of October is designated to reflect the important role diversity plays in the workplace, and whereas Joliet Junior College advocates respect and inclusion for every individual by demonstrating courtesy and civility in every endeavor, and whereas Joliet Junior College pledges to promote and recognize the diverse strengths of its employees and students, and to value and celebrate the unique attributes, characteristics, and perspectives of every individual. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Illinois Community College, District Number 525, Joliet Junior College, Counties of Will, Grundy, Kendall, LaSalle, Kankakee, Livingston, and Cook, State of Illinois, hereby proclaims the month of October as Disability Employment Awareness Month in Illinois Community College District Number 525, adopted this 8th day of September 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a resolution for Kathleen.
Are we
Kathleen
supposed
Terry.
You have to
to,
make a motion.
motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion.
All in favor? Or please, roll call, please.
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales.
Yes.
Budzinski. Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Lozano.
Yes.
And O'Connell.
Yes. All right, now, we have a resolution for Kathleen Derrick. Is she present? In any
I
way?
don't believe so.
All right. All right. We do have someone present here virtually for Tina Kosicic, however that's pronounced.
Yeah, I
have
can
a
read it.
resolution?
Yep, I have it right here.
Okay, good.
Okay. Resolution, whereas Tina Kosik has been a loyal and dedicated employee of Joliet Junior College from January 2008 through July 2021 for 13 years of service with the college as an adjunct instructor in the Natural Science Department. And whereas throughout her years of service, Tina Kosik has demonstrated admirable support for the ideals of education as well as for the institution of Joliet Junior College and the people whom the college serves. And whereas the service performed throughout her years at Joliet Junior College has always been of the highest standard of professionalism, quality, and excellence. And now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of Illinois Community College, District Number 525, Joliet Junior College, Counties of Will, Grundy, Kendall, LaSalle, Kankakee, Livingston, and Cook, State of Illinois, does hereby recognize and commend Tina Kosik for her distinguished service as well as for her diligence, perseverance, and loyalty in executing those duties as hereby stated. Adopted this 8th day of September 2021.
Motion.
I understood that she was be present virtually. At any rate, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
The roll, please, Joan.
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Brzezinski, Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee, Lozano,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes. All right, so apparently we don't have a virtual meeting. 1.5.1.
1.4.4.
1.4.4? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to skip over Bob Marsing. 1.4.4 Faculty Union Report.
Hopefully you could all see me. Thank you, Chairman O'Connell. My feelings are a little bit hurt, but I'll get over it. Would also like to say hello to the board and also to former chair, Bob Wunderlich. I saw him in the audience. Hope he's doing well. I think Dr. Whitehead did a very good job of explaining the initial placement schedule. If ever anybody has any questions, I can tell you this is something we work on very, very hard every contract negotiation to be fair and equitable, and also to reward people for certifications, et cetera, because I work in the transfer area, but other people work in the CTE area, and there are a lot of things that we need to learn about the work that they do, how much work they put into earning certifications, et cetera, those sorts of things. So it's always a learning experience for me, and we're very confident that we have an excellent placement schedule, something that we worked on very hard for several contracts to make sure we got it exactly the way we believe it should be. So, but that said, the only other thing I had tonight was, well, I know that it's on the agenda for a little bit later, asking Dr. Mitchell to stay on for a bit longer. We're very happy to see that. We believe, first of all, I do want to say that when Dr. Mitchell was named interimly and then later of the president, we think the board made an excellent choice, and she's done an excellent job. And under incredibly trying times, I feel bad in some ways that her intent is she's going to be leaving under the cloud of COVID when as much as she and the rest of us would love to see the hallways teeming with people and the energy that brings. It's unfortunate that that's the way it's going to happen, but we've had several faculty retire in the last year or two also, and they've had to do the same thing. But but that said, because we have done an excellent job with our current president, it's really, really important for us to make sure that in our presidential search, that we find the right person. And one of the things that, so I'm glad we're taking more time to do that. One of the things that we as faculty, and I'd like to speak for faculty and others on other work groups on campus too, is that we absolutely hope to be involved in that process in a significant way. The people who work here day to day, who deal with the president, on the day-to-day actions of the institution, have a really good feel for what a good president for JJC looks like, meaning their history, their background, their understanding of the culture of the institution and all of that. And we believe it's really important that not only faculty, but other work groups are represented in the search so that you can get a full view, a full feel for how any candidate is going to perform at JJC. We all love this institution. We've all worked here. Many of us have worked here through several presidents. We've had some excellent presidents. We've had some presidents who came and went, and we know we have a pretty good feel for what a good president at JJC is, and so hopefully that will be the case. And we're looking forward to having a part in that process, and because we, like you, want to make sure that our future is even brighter than our present, and that will be done through bringing in the right leadership. So I believe that's all I have for this evening. As always, thank you for the opportunity. I would be there in person tonight, but I know that we're trying to limit the number of people in person right now. But at some point soon, hopefully that will change, and you'll have to see me in person. So thanks again. Thanks again. I appreciate the opportunity to address you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. 1.44 faculty union report.
That's what we just did. We're on one.
I'm sorry, it's 1.4.5, Dr. Laurel, the adjunct faculty union report.
So good evening, and I realize in looking at this image that the sun from my west window is kind of catching the camera, so I apologize for the glare behind me. Greetings, and I'd just like to say hello to everybody. It's been a while since I've been at a meeting, and so I don't have a really extensive report. Actually, I don't have much of a report at all. But I wanted to make contact and touch base and let you know that, we're all still here doing what we do and trying very hard to do it well. I do want to acknowledge the retirees. I don't know Kathleen Derrick very well, but Tina Kosicek has been a biology instructor in the natural science department for 13 years. And I've had contact with her from time to time because we're in the same department. And so I would like to take a minute to acknowledge her service to the college and to her students. I know that she always made a really solid effort to do the best she could for her students. And I think I'd like to make sure that gets recognized. Other than that, I think we're off to a pretty good start for the semester. Bargaining for the contract is ongoing, and I'm sure you're getting updates about that as we go along. And basically, that's pretty much what I have to report. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
And I missed something. 1.4.3. Recognition of retiree Kathleen Derrick. I'm asking if we have a motion.
I'll make a motion for that.
Okay.
Can we call the roll, please?
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Budzinski,
Yes.
Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Lozano,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes.
I just thought you didn't want her to retire, so.
Okay. 1.5.1, approval of the minutes of the regular monthly meeting from August 5th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Joe.
Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Lozano, Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Budzinski,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes. We have 1.5.2, approval of the minutes for the special meeting of August 25th, 2021. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Joe.
Morales,
Yes.
Budzinski,
Yes.
Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Lozano,
Yes.
Mahalik,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes. 1.6, communications. Do we have any communications, Ms. Tierney?
No further communications, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. 1.7, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second,
Call the roll, please, Joan.
Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee. Yes. Lozano,
Yes.
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
yes,
Budzinski,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes. 1.8.1, consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda agreed as presented.
So moved.
second,
Like the full 4.2,
4.2,
4.2.2. 4.2.2.
Mhm.
okay?
I have, I'd like to pull, 2.1.3. That's all.
So, we have a motion?
Yes, Mr.
Mhm.
Chairman, and a second.
Call roll.
So with, we've entertained the motion?
We have the motion and a second.
We need to call roll.
We call the roll, please.
Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee. Yes. Lozano,
Yes.
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes,
Budzinski,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes. All right. 2.1.3.
yeah.
Need
Sorry,
a motion and a
oh,
second.
sorry, motion,
Second.
We have the
discussion,
roll, please?
No, not roll. but
No, no roll is, okay.
discussion.
All right.
Okay. 2.1.3, this is one new full-time administrator position. No, this we've already approved it. I apologize. No, this one is fine. I don't have a question over this one. So let's wrap it up.
Close
Okay,
it then.
I'd like to withdraw that.
okay.
Still need a vote.
So we're gonna flow on.
No, we have to vote on it.
We gotta vote on it again,
Okay.
get back on the agenda, so.
All right.
Morales,
Yes,
Budzinski,
Yes.
Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
Lee. Yes. Lozano,
Yes.
Mahalik,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes.
that was 2.3.1 that I wanted to pull, not 2.1.3. I'm a little dyslexic, sorry.
Okay.
2.3.1. Okay.
So,
So motion to pull 2.3.1.
Second.
So it's been
It's been approved, and that's fine. I just have a question about it. So I was gonna support it anyway. Can I ask that now?
Yeah, you can ask the question now, but it's been approved, but so you feel
That's
free to
fine.
ask your question.
That's fine. So it's a full-time support position, Dr. Mitchell, I think is what this is
Correct.
in support of the executive vice president position, correct?
Well, correct. It's twofold. We had talked about it previously. We were moving forward with a part-time position in our office just to support the office of the president due to all the demands that are placed on it. When the role for the EVP was discussed and presented, it was in our best interest, I'll be honest, to turn that part-time into a full-time position. So not only support the office of the president, but support the EVP that will require assistance for their meetings and minutes and things like that. You know, I mean, we have a comprehensive senior administrative position, job description in place.
So how big is the office of the president? Now with you and with the EVP and with this full-time, do we have a full-time support now too, or no?
I do right now. Kelly is my executive assistant
I
to the
thought.
president. And just a little history. So in the past, the president's office used to have 2 full-time and a part-time. And then fast forward to Dr. Daniels' time, there was a change in the office structure and there was a full-time, and Joan retired and they brought her back as a part-time administrative assistant to support the board of trustees only. So we went from 2.5 supporting the office to 1 full-time. Over my tenure, you know, we had talked about the need in the office, but, you know, going through every budget year, we weigh all of the positions and where the priorities are. And my priorities at that time were to hire the compliance officer and then eventually the executive director of diversity, equity, inclusion, compliance. So I reinvested in other areas that I need, but now, especially with the EVP, it's critical that we have full-time support in the office.
Okay, that was all, but I do support the position.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. 4.2.2. Due to a conflict of interest, I'd like to abstain from the vote on that. You'd like to abstain from voting on it. All right,
Still need a motion in a second.
So moved.
we'll ask for a motion.
Second,
Call the roll, please, Joe.
Trustee Gian,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Lozano,
Yes.
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
yes,
Budzinski, and O'Connell.
Yes. Down to 6. New business, old business. Any new business or old business?
just, I'd like to ask Dr. Mitchell if you could update the board. I know we had a conversation, you and I, about the direction that the Small Business Development Center is taking. And I think you shared really good information for me that I think the board, I would like for them to also be aware, only because I do get questions about future entrepreneurs that need the services and need direction from the Small Business Development Center. And I know I was concerned when I saw that the position had been vacant for over 90 days. Not just that one, but like we have 50 some odd vacancies, which that's another topic that I want to ask after this one. But if you could just update us on what we're doing with the Small Business Development Center downtown Joliet.
Sure. So, and I can share this information. I'll forward it to, to the full board so they have this as well. But the Small Business Development Center actually was in place several years ago. And then when the grant ended, the college made a decision to close the operations. Over time, there was an increased need. We actually had one of our sister community colleges come to offer, to open up a program in downtown Joliet. They had since closed. So the college made the decision to reinvest and allocate a certain budget amount. And I don't know off the top of my head, let's just say roughly $100,000 to reopen the SBDC Center with a part-time employee. Since that time, the state then released a grant, and the grant account, was, we received the grant and it was a match, 100% match, 80,000 from the grant, and then the college had to match those dollars as well. Some of the challenges that we've had with the grant there are quite a few restrictions and guidelines that we must follow, and we have, Dr. Gray and I have been talking about that at great lengths. The grant, and when we go to, when we made the offer, the initial person that applied for the full-time position, we made an offer and then the state declined. They chose not to move forward with that applicant. So then we posted again. We went to hire the second candidate and the state approved them. However, we could not match their salary, which is, again, brings me back to the whole salary conversation. So Dr. Gray, who's unexpectedly out of the office, she and I have been talking and she sent me a summary recently. And right now we're actually going to make the decision and I want to bring it back to cabinet next week. So anytime we follow the budget process each year, and that budget is what's presented to the board. At times throughout the year, obviously, it's a long time, we have a mid-year budget request. So say it's a new position that comes up, say it's us, an investment in equipment or operations or something of that nature. There's a process for each cabinet member to bring it through. We talk collectively as a group, and then we have final approval is to identify those funds internally. If we have, because we have areas or pockets that we can, that we have for reserve. So with the SBDC Center, the consideration is actually to decline the grant because of the restrictions and identify whether or not the college can absorb those funds, allow us to hire the individual candidate that we would like, and expand that process, much to like you've been asking, not only to serve the community, but we have an increased demand in the Hispanic community. And so we're looking at, the full-time position and a part-time, so one that specifically focuses in areas throughout, so we can actually, expand our outreach. The other restriction within the SBDC grant is they do not allow you to use any of those funds for marketing. So that ties your hand. So again, you're coming back to institutional funds. So she and I, we had talked, she sent me her proposal. The plan is to discuss next week if we receive full approval from the cabinet, no pressure, everyone who's listening on the phone, that we will move forward with that. decline the state, move forward with the college, and then we'll redesign. And we're also going to move the reporting structure now with Dean Amy Murphy, since she's, left the college. Dr. Gray's done a phenomenal job relooking at the organizational structure, and we're going to move that so then there's a stronger emphasis for the center. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. How much was the grant?
I think it was $80,000.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it was enough to help cover the full-time, but, like I said, we lost the last two candidates. So it's difficult. And, Dr. Whitehead talked about this, and I've talked to the board, endlessly about that. It's, the competition, what we're going against, the salaries, and then you have to, look internally for internal equity, compression. So there's a multitude of areas that we have to look at, and we have to be fair.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. And yeah, that is going to be it should be a very visible position within the college and in the entire 525 district.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many people. COVID, I think, forced a lot of people to look internally at their own talent and skills. And you have so many people now that are becoming entrepreneurs because they've had to work from home and, they're just doing different things. My second thing I wanted to ask is, and I know we talked about this also, and this is more for, I think, Dr. Whitehead. And I know you're pretty relatively new with us, Dr. Whitehead, but so our vacancies, when you look on our webpage, we have a lot of vacancies, and people will always, I've encouraged people to apply to work here. And I've gotten to the point where people tell me, thank you, but I've applied and I never hear back yes or no, thank you for applying, but we chose another candidate. Like, I think our process, if we could continue to look at streamlining them. And one lady said she applied and 3 months later she was called and she said, I forgot I had even applied because they took so long to call me. And I just think, we want to attract good talent, but we have to, they're taking jobs other places because we take so long to even get back to them to come in for an interview.
So all of those points too, and I can speak, and Dr. Whitehead can jump in if she feels necessary. First, there's two things. We have the open positions. So if you recall, before July 1st, and until we had that CARES funding, we had a contingency plan, which held a lot of positions on hold. That we were watching enrollment, we were watching numbers, so we were very cautious about, how we move forward. With the release of the CARES fund, we had CARES, we had CRISA, and then now the ARP funds. It allowed us to revisit our existing budget because we were able to recoup our finances, our revenue loss. And so we looked at those positions of where do we need to go, which of the positions do we need to move forward with to support the operations of the college. There are many positions that we've actually decided to take from part-time to full-time or create temporary positions covered under CARES funding. So they're supplemented by CARES funding, which we can do. And then next year we'll incorporate those in the budget if we see that, at that time that those positions are still valid and still needed. Some of them, just the increase just with COVID and the challenges that we're dealing with we're struggling. As far as the process, yes, I hear you, Dr. Whitehead hears you. From the day she came on campus, unfortunately for all of our new hires, they came in during COVID. I think until recently, they finally started to see other people. Dr. Whitehead's been here quite often with me, but just to meet their colleagues and things like that. But she and I have talked, she's, restructuring her own team. We've talked about some of the challenges we've had, those response times. I feel exactly what you're saying because we lose good candidates because we take too long. Now, I don't want to blame anyone. It's not that. It's a process. We've been going through Workday. We now have Workday process, which is going to help streamline our hiring process, our communications. We had the departure of one of our senior HR specialists who left unexpectedly, good for him, another, amazing opportunity. But again, it's always like you take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. So they are working on all those areas. We know that there are areas for improvement, but with Workday and with Dr. Whitehead at the helm, I'm confident we're going to see those changes fairly soon.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All I had.
And then I just wanted to ask about the MEN project. So had you chosen the 50 people for the cohort that are a part of it?
That I'm not sure. And I don't know if Dean Vasquez Barrios, Dr. Farmer is out.
Yeah.
And Dean Vasquez Barrios was going to phone in. Cindy, are you there? Okay, you know what? Let me find out and I'll send that to you because Dr. Farmer, when they were here, Dr. Farmer was out. And so I'll follow up and I'll send everyone that list.
Real quick, since Trustee Lee brought that up, and then you brought up Cindy Vasquez Barrios, Just like we are adding this position for the executive vice president, again, not that Cindy Vasquez Barrios has asked because she hasn't, but at the meeting we went to at Champaign, when you and David and I were out in trustee leave and
Oh, the
Broderick.
training?
Yeah, that training. During one of the sessions, they were talking about all the different things that the Title IX, what Cindy Vasquez Barrios office does. And they do a lot, especially now with COVID and tracing. That might be an area that might need additional support.
And
So
yeah.
you might need to, so people aren't working 12 and 14 hours a day. It's not fair. That's an area I think that might need another staff person to help in that department.
And we have, in fact, last week she came, she brought forward 2 part-time to full-time, temporary full-time. She came to cabinet today and presented, Cindy, presented additional positions. So we are investing, we are listening. We talked about, the increase in mental health and the concerns that we have with students and employees. And so we are investing in those areas as well. The MEN project will look into that. We'll have the 15 employees that will be trained. So we're looking forward to that. I wish I could, again, for the campus community to hear me, there are more pockets than you can realize where we need help. For so many years, we've been very conscientious of keeping tuition flat, taking care of our students, but with that comes a cost because community colleges are service organizations. We're not manufacturing, we're producing. And so we are a service organization. And so on behalf of the entire campus, I can speak for them, they're tired. COVID has presented so many challenges. We've had to change the way we deliver, the way we meet our students' needs. We have COVID, we've got Workday. Cecil Lucy reported earlier at BNG that we are on track. We are, if you read in Workday and Trustee Budzinski, you probably know this, over 60% of companies fail on an ERP implementation because of the constraints that it takes on the toll on their employees. We're not failing. We're on our 4th payroll. We're implementing phase 2. We have upgrades coming in. We're training our staff. Our DEI initiatives, the work that we're doing. I am so proud of this institution. I wish I could give everyone help. I know they're tired. I know we work so many hours, trying to figure that out. And we're doing that incrementally as those positions are brought forward. So I can just tell you that.
Thank you. I think Pat Van Dyne.
Is Pat on?
He's in our, what department is he in?
He's the Senior Director of Facility Services.
I think he needs extra support too.
And we've been hiring his.
Okay.
So trust me, Pat reaches out, but we have been moving forward with his positions. And again, many of them are on hold, pending, are we staying in a remote operation? What does that look like? But the positions are moving forward. It's just we have to be very strategic.
Yes.
And make sure that we're filling those high demand, high need areas first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then the classes that are not filling, how are we handling those faculty if they just have like less than 7 students? Are we looking at that to see if we can combine maybe classrooms? Because I don't know that we should, and I don't know if we are holding classes open if they only, I know in a previous place I worked at, they had to have, there was a certain number of students you had to have in order for the class to continue. I don't know what our quota is here, if we have one, and how we're handling that.
Okay, so we do. However, with COVID, we have relaxed some of those loads, largely in part due to the fact that we have our students on campus and we're ensuring their social distancing. So all students, everyone's required to wear masks. That's the new executive order. Their social distance, and because of that, we've had to limit the amount of students in a classroom. So Dr. Gray, if she was here, I can tell you she went personally and measured some of those classrooms to make sure how many students she could have fit in there. So we have relaxed because right now our goal is to serve our students, and it probably is a little bit more costly, but students are first and we have to get them through this pandemic and help them in any way we can.
So if we're limiting the number of students, are we opening up sections to that class? So
Yes.
that faculty is still, if they were teaching 60 students, they're still going to do it, but just, I guess, they're
Right,
teaching more
multiple
sections,
sections, right. If
Okay.
you have 20 in a lab, they may be, have 2 10s. And then remember, we opened up high flex, hybrid type classes. So you might be in class one day and watching remote one day, the online, some are synchronous, so they can actually watch their faculty. So, we have expanded the modalities. Our faculty have done a phenomenal job. They're very flexible. They're understanding with the students. So yes, and that's what I said. It takes all of us to make this happen.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. We're down to 7, new business, first reading of board policies. Number 8, old business, second reading of board policies. We previously approved the consent agenda, 8.5 through 8.11. We're down to reports, and there will not be a JJC Foundation report or a representative of ICCTA report. So we're at 9.3, student trustee report.
Hello, everyone, my fellow trustees. Welcome back. It's been quite a busy month so far. I've been everywhere, been running around, working on campus, doing my work, doing homework. So it's been busy. I'll kind of update you on what's been going on. It's not everything, but it's a majority of it. So one moment.
Take 2.
There we go. So I'm going to talk about Welcome Week, the Pet Mural, Meet the Student Trustee Day, OSA Drive-Through Movie Theater, the CCC Meetings, the Trustee Show, OSA Free Meal Kits, and then the leather update. So first off, we had Welcome Week. It was great. We had, I think it was approximately like maybe 20 tables out, departments were out, basically welcoming the students back after quite a strange year we had. So it was good to see some faces. I'm actually in that top left photo right there with the hat on. So I got to meet some students. I didn't have a table or anything. I just kind of sat. Well, I should say I shouldn't sat. I kind of walked around meeting students. So that was one opportunity they got to meet me. I met quite a bit of people there too. So it was really nice. They had food. They had a bunch of information out, all the departments regarding what resources they can provide for students. It was great. I even learned some things too. So that was great. The pet mural, I don't know if anyone else got to see it. I attended it. As you can see, I took a picture. I got to meet the artists. I just like give a big shout out to these artists right here. Sarah Farrell, Ann Martinez, Jennifer Gatos, and Kylie Rosenfield. They spent their summer painting this, and it was all summer. And they had to deal with wasps, bird poop, rain, the boiling heat. I gave them props. I told them they did a great job, but they did that all throughout the summer. And I wish them luck. I know some of them are moving on, so I wish you guys luck with your with future endeavors, and keep making JJC proud. But your mural looks great, and I would highly advise for any of you guys to go check it out. Okay. So we also Wednesday, September 1st was the first Meet the Student Trustee Day. It was kind of cool. I was hoping to get more people come. I only had one person that actually came, but and it's someone I knew. So hopefully in the future, I got October 14th, November 3rd, and December 1st. We'll get some more people. Those will be out. I'll actually be out sitting in person on campus. This was an online. So I was kind of gauging which way the students would go. So hopefully we'll get more people in person. I want to hear some input. It's been kind of hard hearing what the students want, any kind of change, because there's less students on campus, and they didn't come to the first Meet the Student Trustee. So hopefully the next round I'll get some more input. Then we also had an OSA drive-in movie theaters. That was really cool. They set up a huge kind of projector screen. It was Jumanji Next Level. I think about 30 to 40 people came. It's kind of cool. And then they social distance the cars out. So if you wanted to sit outside your car, you could. It was really nice. And it was a little hot, but very good. Movie was entertaining. I had fun. I got to see a couple of the people I knew. So that went on. That was one of the bigger events that happened And then CCC meetings have also started. For those of you who don't know what CCC meetings are, they're stand for Collegiate Club Council meetings. And it's where all the student leaders from, or I should say one representative from each club on campus gets together. It's almost kind of like a Senate. And they, the CCC e-board and advisors update all the clubs on policy, upcoming events, any kind of updates that really need to help clubs function. So, you know, big talk on chartering, things like that. So that's starting. Hopefully we can get some input from that. Those are always a really good way to get student leaders going because, like I said, it provides a lot of useful information for clubs. So those are starting. As you can tell, the dates are right there. And the trustee show. So I talked about this last time. I actually got a filming date. Everything's set. I got my first guest. That'll start September 14th. Hopefully I'll get it released by end of September. That's what we're kind of shooting for right now. And we're going to post it on YouTube at the moment. Now, I haven't looked into any other kind of, you know, services or anything like that. But for now, YouTube, it'll probably go up on the same YouTube channel that we post these board meetings on. So that'll be fun. I'm still getting ideas on, you know, segments and things like that. Hopefully, Dr. Mitchell, you'll be a guest on it one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay. Are you going to introduce with music? Are we going to start out with music?
Well, I do.
Talked about that.
I have one idea. I'm going to have all my guests play the accordion.
Yay.
Oh,
So there you go, Dr. Mitchell.
He's a pro at it.
we'll talk.
Lots of guests. Yeah, lots of guests. So I have another kind of cool thing OSA's been doing is they're doing a free meal kit, and the recipe for this September, basically the whole point of this, any kind of food insecurities, you could sign up for this. There's a link they're sending it out. It's on here. You can see to register, visit this link tree. They have it on their Instagram, Facebook, things like that. So you just type in the URL and it has a registration form you can go for. And this, like I said, we're looking at chicken fried rice. Sounds pretty good. And it comes with a recipe card, non-perishables, and it also comes with all these gift cards so you can buy the perishable necessities to make the actual recipes. And each kit can feed 4 to 6 people. So it's really cool. And the pickup date is going to be September 10th. I'd also like to mention that the recipe cards are actually made by a culinary arts student named Dakota who used to work in OSA. So we're using our resources here very well. So that's available for students. In terms of the LEDA scholarships, or I should say internships, we're still working on them. It's been super hard to find students who are interested and have the time because right now we're only at, second week of school, and you know, advisors are still looking for people. So hopefully we'll get this going. I'm not too sure though, just talking to the Latino Economic Development Association. They're thinking about just hiring people, but like I said, I'm still working on it. It's been kind of difficult though at the moment. But that concludes my report. Do you guys have any questions?
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Do a great job as always.
Mhm.
9.4, Buildings and Grounds Committee. Your go-to guy, Gene.
There you go. So Buildings and Ground had a good meeting today as usual. The September projects, we talked about the campus police renovation, which we do we vote on that tonight? Or is that, yeah. So we received, this is broken down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different vendors, all from Illinois, and the total of the bid was right around, I want to say, around $5 million or so, $5.5 million, right, for everything combined?
All in, it's a little over that because we added the alternates of the garage and the cement work.
So at that, we also voted on the elevator maintenance tonight. This shows that the bid total was over budget, but we are explaining tonight is that the elevator maintenance is over 3 years. So this was budgeted for 1 year. It shows us one year, right? So 34.
3 years worth it was $34,000 annual, 56,000 for
Yeah.
a total 3 years. So we're actually saving
We're
$46,000.
saving money like that.
There we go.
Good, so.
Allows us to reinvest.
Current projects in construction was the Renaissance Center facade and repair. I believe this is close to being finished as well. In design is to replace the J building elevators, which we've known about. Is it's the total cost of the project was basically just under $1.5 million. We did receive a grant for this for $600,000, which drastically brings down our cost to $885,000 total for that, and that's in project. And they chose some contractors for that. So I believe I don't remember the start date for that, or is that under the start date yet?
Start date. It was with the Capital Development Board, so I don't recall.
Don't recall. Oh, so there you go. See, I need my right-hand man there.
I know.
Right-hand man there, kind of, and just
That's on my-
tell me what's going on. So, we're also a couple other small projects that are in design to repair the leaking in the A building. This will come in April 2022. Repair the D and G roofs, chilled water piping insulation and supports. Some ASU air handler unit replacements as well. Other ones in process right now are the camera replacement and the keyless entry, which should be completed soon. The city center updates, they seem like they're on the final checklist or final punch list on this, so that should be completed soon as well. Respiratory therapy, it says they're in the checklist stage 2, but they're getting ready to start that and get going with that as well. Looks like a very successful workday is going on very well. I guess they've already completed 4 payrolls, but as we heard earlier in the reports, they're doing some updates already. So we got to help support our employees and help retrain them a little bit more so they can do those updates. And as Jim knows, in that industry, so updates happen every 3 to 4 months, basically. So I think they said twice a year they do updates on workday as well.
Correct.
So
Yeah, we get 2 major releases a year, Trustee Mahalik.
sounds good. So I appreciate it, and that's the B&G report tonight. So.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mahalik.
Sure.
9.5 is the Board Policy Committee report. That's a new position with Trustee Michelle Lee and Trustee Alicia Morales.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say, Trustee Lee?
We had our first meeting. We have not had another one before this. We weren't able to get together due to our schedule, so we have that set up for next week. But I think we're excited to be able to review and talk about some of these policies and figure out, how things are done exactly and be able to present it to you.
Yes, pretty much during the first meeting that we had, which was at about an hour before the previous board meeting in August, is when we met downstairs with Dr. Irvin, Dr. Mitchell, and Dr. Morris. They briefly explained how the first reading, second reading goes, and how in the past the board really was kind of at the tail end. So now we're gonna be able to have a little bit more input in the beginning instead of like after the decisions are said and done, and then it didn't make sense to me. Like, we are supposed to be a policy board, yet we were really not a part of the policy making, which I can't wrap my brain around that. So we're redoing that. And that's it was just like an intro meeting. And so to go over the existing process and how we're going to be changing it. So our next meeting is September 15th at 3:30, I believe. So we look forward to having a more detailed report next time for you all. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll evolve into that. 9.6 Finance Committee report. That's another new with Trustee Jim Budzinski and again Trustee Mahalik.
Dr. Lucy invited us to an introductory or get to know each other meeting last week. We have additional meetings scheduled in October, and we're at the very beginning stages of working together.
All right. Okay, thank you. 9.7, President's Reports.
So my report this evening is just more or less to let you know that we have been dealing with the new executive order released by Governor Pritzker a short time ago. The announcement was unexpected. We were not aware of, the dates and the implications. So as always, the team, our emergency response resource group, met immediately. We began talking about what the implications are to the college, what it takes for next steps. I think the governor then heard back from higher education institutions and some of our local reps that they were not involved in the beginning. And so the governor came back and extended that the introductory date from September 5th through I think it's September 20th. However, our wheels were already in motion, and so we continue to meet. We continue to be engaged. Presidents have met once to twice a week with Dr. Brian Durham and our fellow community college presidents to talk about what everyone's doing, the challenges, the implications. So effective September 20th, you will be required to be vaccinated or test. And those are the minimum requirements right now. And so we've been looking into a new system, Cleared 4, C4, that it will allow everyone, employees and students, to upload your card, upload your vaccination information. So when you walk in the door, it's kind of like a TSA pre-check. You hold it up. If it's green, you're good to go. If not, then you'd be stopped at the door. There are a lot of logistics that we're still continuing to look into because we have volunteers, you have contractors, you have visitors on campus. What does that testing look like? We have Shield, Illinois. Kara Anderson is our EHS manager, doing a phenomenal job, but we need to expand that. We need to be able to offer those vaccinations probably almost 5 or 6 days a week. We have to be able to open it up to multiple hours because we serve multiple shifts. Students are taking classes at 7 at night. So we're looking at how we can expand those needs. We're frantically trying to hire individuals that can help with the COVID testing, with the greeter program, contact tracing. And again, we struggle, just like many, trying to hire part-time or temporary full-time employees. So an email went out today again, and as always, I copy the Board of Trustees, so you have all the information that's going to our students and our staff to keep you apprised. But what I can tell you is that, again, I can't say it enough. I am so appreciative of the work that we continue to do on a day-to-day basis. And now you have COVID in there. It's like concrete. It keeps filling in, and all those little extra crevices that we have and weighing us down. And we just struggle, like, what's next? What's next? So, I just want to publicly thank my team. We're going to get through this. We always do. We're JJC. We're survivors. We're fighters. We'll get through this. And I want to talk to the board a little bit more later this evening about next steps. But that's what's been consuming most of our time. So, and with that too, just one little side note. We have, when our employees came back, it was critically important, Dr. Whitehead, under her leadership, Dr. Irvin, to implement table talks, which you've heard them talk about in some of their previous presentations. So this past week, we held a table talk for employees to welcome them back, answer their questions about COVID, things going on at the college. And tonight, Dr. Whitehead and I know we'll be here in person. We have a meeting at 10 o'clock to meet with our night shift. And I believe Dr. Irvin will be on virtually, and I'm not sure about the others. But that, again, shows the dedication and commitment to our employees. So with that, I thank you. And that's why I have a bottle of Coke. Keep me going through the night. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Judy. I'd like to make this statement. On behalf of the board, I want to say thank you to Dr. Mitchell for agreeing to extend her retirement through August 31st, 2022. While we complete the search for Joliet Junior College's 10th president, and her last 5 years of leadership will provide the necessary guidance for the college to successfully navigate this transition. The board has agreed to engage the Pauley Group to lead a national presidential search, a firm that specializes in academic and executive leadership placement. The Pauley Group brings over 30 years of experience in this field and the specific community college expertise. We will share more with you soon. And that's my report. We will have closed session under 2C5, 2C8, and 2C11. There will be no further business after the closed session is done. So do we have a motion?
Second.
Joan, roll, please.
Garcia again,
Yes.
Lee, Lozano,
Yes.
Mahalik,
Yes.
Morales,
Yes.
Lizinski,
Yes.
and O'Connell.
Yes.